4 parishes in Christchurch have decided to cut ties with the Anglican Church of Aotearoa and Polynesia because they cannot accept the church's position on same-sex marriage. The decision to break away was triggered by a General Synod vote in May, paving the way for individual parishes to bless same-sex marriages. Some in the church rejected that as woefully inadequate, calling it weak. But others, including St Stephen's and Shirley, St John's in Latimer Square, St Saviour's and St Nicholas of South Christchurch, and St John's of Woolston, said it had gone too far. This is a big issue for the Anglican Church, of course, and indeed for all organised religion, as country after country says yes to same-sex marriage. I spoke to the Most Reverend Philip Richardson, head of the Anglican Church in New Zealand, firstly about what the Synod decided in May.
So what the General Synod agreed was that this was a matter for the primary units of the Anglican Church, and that's actually a diocese or a region. So like the Diocese of Christchurch, which includes Canterbury, North Canterbury, South Canterbury and Westland. So it's up to each region with their bishop to make a decision about whether to allow the blessing of same-gender marriages, civil marriages, or not. And then a bishop can choose to allow a priest in a parish to offer a service of blessing on a couple who have been married under New Zealand law. So that's what has been allowed for by the General Synod when it met in May.
So just for clarity, that isn't actually a marriage, it's the blessing of a marriage that has already occurred.
It's the blessing of a civil marriage, that's right.
Okay, and if we look at what Vicar Helen is saying, it's St Matthew in the City. She's describing it as weakened and I think as pretty underwhelming. So there are some parts of the church that believe that is not strong enough.
Absolutely, and that's the spectrum of view that we have across the church, and that's the range of view that we've tried to hold together throughout this process, which has been going on now for 20, 25 years.
Do you have a personal belief, a personal feeling on all of this?
I think the church has made a good decision. I think I voted for the provision. I think this is where, by far and away, the majority of the General Synod, a significant majority, felt able to move. And I have a strong view that holding a diversity of view together in the same extended family is actually really important. So I'm very grateful for the way in which we have worked together. I'm proud of the way in which we have held that respectfully, and I think the breadth of view that we have continued to be able to hold together is a tribute to that kind of community cohesion, really.
Hold together being the operative phrase, and it looks like there's going to be an exception to that in Canterbury, where you have 4 parishes who are saying, no, we don't even accept this much. We don't want the church to bless same-gender marriages, and we are prepared to leave the Anglican Church. Is that the situation you find yourselves in?
Well, they're certainly saying that they are prepared to disaffiliate from the Diocese of Christchurch. They would say very clearly, and I respect these people and their views. They're part of my family. I know them well, and I have a great deal of respect for them individually and collectively. They're saying they want to remain Anglican, and that they want to try and find a way of doing so, but they don't believe that they can remain affiliated to the Anglican Church of Aotearoa, New Zealand and Polynesia because of this decision.
I guess the question is, you say they want to remain Anglican. I guess the question is, what is Anglican? And what does it look like? How inclusive is it? How does it respond to changes in the way society generally views the world and what society generally regards as appropriate? Same-sex marriages are now a fact of life in New Zealand. They are allowed under law and they take place far and wide. How difficult is it for the Anglican Church to continue to not reflect that?
Well, it's an extraordinarily difficult reality that we face. I mean, is the church and what it believes to be defined by society, or is it to be defined by its beliefs? And we would say it's to be defined by its beliefs. That's why it's taken us so long to work through these particular issues to find...
And I'm sorry to interrupt, but just to clarify, the church's belief is that marriage takes place between a man and a woman.
Yeah, and we reaffirmed that in 2014, that Christian marriage is between a man and a woman, and the Church said very clearly in 2014 that is its central doctrine. So what the Church also said in 2014 was, is there a way in which the Church can recognise Anglican Christians, same-gender couples who are part of our church families, who have been civilly married, as the way of asking for God's blessing on that commitment and on that lifelong commitment.
I'm just reading your words in Anglican eLife, and you say this is a broken and painful place to be, but we need to find a way to walk through this uncharted land that is gracious, hospitable, and realistic. That's a big balancing act, isn't it? Yeah,
it certainly is. I mean, one of the huge advantages that we have in Aotearoa, New Zealand, though, is that we're small, we're relational, we do know each other, and so like in any good family, you can deal with differences as long as you keep the communication viable, and that's what we've sought to do. And I want to pay tribute to those who are at the point where they're saying, look, we simply cannot accept this decision of General Synod, and so we have to personally and individually disaffiliate from our membership of the Anglican Church.
When you say you want to pay respect to that, what about that position do you respect? What is it that you respect?
I respect the integrity of that view and that belief. They believe it genuinely. They believe that they're remaining true to the orthodox position of the Christian Church, and I respect that, and I want to maintain a relationship, although an impaired relationship, with them, and to see what the future holds as we continue to speak with each other and work with each other, while recognising that for them this has been a step too far.
It's the Most Reverend Philip Richardson, head of the Anglican Church in New Zealand. I spoke to him earlier this afternoon.